Hello everyone, and welcome back to some more of Midnight Dawn of Darkness. I'm that boy here, and today we are going to be covering combat. Last episode we went and made characters, but now it's time to see what our characters can do. And of course, let me pull this back up. As you can see, I went in and I inputted all the stats that are important that we had from gaining haste, and I also, for the sakes of this video, gave Jirai here some light, which, if I would remember my control schemes between programs, is going to be our main weapon for this episode. Of course, we're going to use it in tandem with haste and do some and give everybody basically the full concept of all your actions that you can do while you're in MDOT. So we've got haste here, which is a 50 accuracy weapon with a damage bonus of only 5% being dealt, meaning that our damage total is only 0.35, which means unless we crit with this, we actually deal 0 damage, which kind of sucks. And then when we crit with it, we only deal 1, so definitely not our main weapon. It's a C light tier weapon, which is weak to anima or all basic magic types of fire, air, earth, and water, but is strong versus dark magic. So your common dark mages, look out! We've got 1 damage crits coming your way. It also has 40 durability, has a range of 1. And has the ability, you can use this on a target in range to give them plus 5 speed. Because of our skills, this has been bumped up to 10 speed for turn order calculations during their next turn. If this would cause them to have an extra turn during that round due to the buff going away via swapping of order and turn count, they may take said extra turn. We also currently have it equipped. For this episode, by the way, I am only going to be doing the digital version, as it is relatively comparable and similar between digital and physical version, and I would like the ability to have my math automatically be calculated for me, which is why I am doing the digital version. We also have Light, which is a 45 accuracy weapon, and with a damage bonus of plus 5, making us deal 12 damage with it, or on crits 24. It is also a C tier light weapon, is anima, is weak to anima, is strong versus dark, and deals all of these weak to and strong to effects. Has 40 durability, a range of 2, and no special effects. We do not currently have it equipped. Likewise, we also have our Rennery Leaf, which I mentioned in the last episode, has 15 usages and allows us to heal for 15 HP on use. So of course, having that knowledge is all good and fine, but what do all of these stats do? And before we get into the main combat, I want to show what they all are used for. So, HP is your typical health points. It is basically the amount of life and luck that you have for surviving attacks, and is as such depleted whenever you take damage. As you play the game, your goal should always be to keep this number as high as possible, except for in special circumstances where your strategy might revolve around you losing some health. Attack. This is how much damage we deal with our attacks. The higher the number, the better. The attack stat in and of itself is a basic number that we use as we play the game. That gets modified on top of by our weapons with their damage bonus and allows us to deal actual more damage greater than that of what a person's armor may have. Defense. This stat is for our physical weapons, or resisting against physical weapons. So if a blade were to, say, cut you, or if a axe were to chop away at you, you would be resisting it with your defense. Now, resistance works the same way as defense does, but for magical attacks. So, whereas a blade slicing at you would be reduced by your defense's damage, and then dealt whatever is left over to your HP, resistance removes damage from fireballs and light beams that are shot at you. And then whatever cannot be defended by your resistance goes versus your HP. And the total of how that is calculated basically is damage total minus either defense or res equals damage taken to HP. Dodge is next, with this being what we use to resist getting hit in the first place. Whenever you are attacked, that person makes an attack roll by rolling versus their weapon's accuracy, which we can see right here, plus your dodge. So they have to beat the combination of, in the case of, say, the enemy is using light here, they most likely won't, unless, of course, you're going against a light mage or something similar. But say they're using the light weapon, which they will have an accuracy of 45, and then versus Jiraiya's dodge of 12s, so 45 plus 12 is 57. To hit Jiraiya, they must roll a 57 or higher, and if they do, let's say Jiraiya were, for some weird reason, hitting himself, he would go with, roll a 57 or higher to deal 12 damage to his health points after that has been negated from our 15 res. So in all honesty, he would only take 1 damage, because minimum damage in MDOD is 1, unless otherwise stated by skills. So when I mentioned earlier that actually we would have 1 damage criticals, we just have 1 damage basics and 1 damage criticals down here. But 15 minus 13 would deal 1 damage to our health points, so we would go from 9 down to 8 after we took damage from the light spell if it was swung at us by ourselves. Speed is used to determine a number of things in this game, mainly your turn order, which is calculated as just your raw speed, plus any bonuses you may have. Jiraiya here has the Initiator skill, which gives him plus 5 speed when calculating his movement order, putting him at number 19 on the list. And basically, to go before he does, you would have to have higher than a 19, and going after him, you'd have lower than a 19. Additionally, speed also calculates the amount of attacks you have versus targets. If you have 5 more speed than your target, you deal 2 attacks. If you have 15 more speed than your targets, you deal 3 attacks. And if you have 35 more speed than your target, you get 4 attacks. And I know 35 speed may sound like a lot, especially to a level 1 character. It does happen eventually. You will see it happen. There will be people who will quad target opponents. If you do not classify for any of those, or your enemies don't classify for any of those in an attack string that is initiated, each target or each unit in the attack string only gets 1 attack, and gain extra attacks only by having more skill, or more speed, sorry, or having a skill that gives you extra attacks in attack strings. Luck. Luck is used to determine critical hit chance, and is calculated as 120 minus luck. and as you level luck up, you will get the ability to deal critical hits once you have a minimum of 20 luck. There is also a special house rule that you can do that I use at my tables as the game master and maker of the game, where if you roll a 100 and your luck is not greater than 20, you may get a 50% chance at a critical, and that is just done by doing a coin flip that is correctly called. If they succeed, they get a critical hit, which deals double damage, as you can see by comparing Light's basic and critical damage. Finally, skill is the most used stat in the game that also is kind of unique in the way it works. Skill is a commonly called upon stat for our skills off the battlefield, and sometimes even while you're on the battlefield for stuff like stealth, perception, and survival. But skill's main usage is actually for rolling what are considered skill checks. There's skills in the game such as, say, Nihil or Adept, which allow you to do special actions whenever you roll a certain check with them. So for instance, Adept, on a 100 minus SKL chance, meaning you roll a D100 versus 100 minus your SKL, so in the case of Jirai, that would be, we need to get a total of 89 or higher. It allows the user to attack again when attacking. So we must first of all attack, then if we roll an 89 or higher, we get to attack again. But the bonus attack does not allow us to roll this again. So unless we have 2 attacks, we do not get to roll this again per attack string. And in the case we do have 2 attacks, we can get up to a maximum of 4 attacks in an attack string. Or if we have 3, we can get to 6. If we have 4 attacks, we can get up to 8. It is all specifically up to how lucky we are with our dice rolls. And yeah, that's basically the game right here, is just those 8 stats and their interactions. Additionally, you will notice that I also have mentioned here are ranks. Ranks are upgraded every time you do the attack action in an attack string and have it hit the enemy. It must hit the target that you are attacking, or otherwise, well, you're not training your weapon properly, so to say. So, with that out of the way, let us retransition over to Tabletop Sim, where I have prepared a little thing for us to do, and I will also use this to explain how movement works. So, Jirai, according to our sheets, has 7 movement squares that he can do in a turn. Movement squares, unlike D&D, are calculated based off of how these squares adjacent to our character are set up and up. So, for instance, let's pull us back down to here. Sorry, I just like messing around and moving our character a little bit. So, let's say we are right here on the game board. These, by the way, are enemies, and I will get into determining our turn order amongst all of these in a bit. So, from here, we can spend 1 movement square to move up to here, or 1 movement square to move over to here, or 1 movement square to move to here, or 1 to move to here. Basically, we can spend a movement square out of our 7 that we have available to move to any adjacent square, not the diagonals, though. So, to move to a diagonal, we must move here, and then we can spend 1 to go to here, 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 or here, and as such, do that. Of course, you know, it's not always going to be simple. Sometimes we will have to, you know, do some weird actions to get to exactly where we want to go. You're just going to have to basically figure out what works best for your character. Sometimes it may be optimal to, move a certain direction so that you end up, say, for instance, facing your enemy a specific way, because facing does also matter in this game. There are certain skills that interact with where you are facing on the battlefield. And for people playing the spy, you get access to a lot of those skills and get to interact with them in particular. So, now that I've shown you all how movement works, let's consider what happens when we first start a battle. So I'm going to consider that this is Jirai, of course, and 1, 2, and 3 here are enemies. We are going to keep our speed that we have currently on the turn order, which is 19. I'm going to say that number 1 here. So, I'm going to keep Jirai with our 19 movement speed here, or 19 movement order. And we're going to say that number 1 here has a, let's see, we'll say that he has a movement order of just 5, so when we are fighting against him, we will have a +1 to attacks against him. This guy will be 10, so we will also have 5 versus him, or 2 attacks versus him. And we will say that this one right here will have 15, so we are at a slight disadvantage, but not enough, in which case we get attacked first. So, we're going to just skip this unit's turn and say, upon entering battlefield, it is our turn. So, now that we have that, we may move any amount of squares to get to a point in which we can attack. Attacking works the same way as moving would, whereas light has a range of 2 squares, so 1, 2, or 1, 2 if we were, say, down here at the diagonal, 1, 2. And as such, as long as we are sitting in any square that is up to a maximum of 2 squares away from our target, we can attack the target. So, woohoo, we can sit here and attack 1, which all we need to do beforehand is change our equipped weapon, which currently right now we have haste equipped, and I'm going to quickly flip over so that way you can see. So as you can see here, changing this from N to, or Y to N and N to Y lets us know that we have our light magic equipped, which can then, now, all we have to do is quickly roll to attack this enemy. Upon looking at this, this initial enemy we are targeting is a sword wielder, so they only have a range of 1, but can attack at a similar power level to us in a physical sense. So while we're going to quickly roll here, we got a 79, which is a pretty high chance of us hitting, and therefore, if we are to look at their dodge, which in comparison, let's say is about 10, we need to roll a 45 plus 10 to hit, which is a 55, which we rolled a 79, so we get to hit them and deal 12 damage. And I am going to say, for the sakes of this video, that lets us kill. And as such, we will end our turn after we attack, because we do not have the active skill, meaning that once we get to the attack action on our turn, we must stop doing stuff, basically. So, it is now our enemy's turn. And enemies work the exact same way as players do, where they get to move to any adjacent square for their movement speed, or any amount of times equal up to their movement speed, and attack at a range of, well, whatever their square's weapon allows them to. So, back to this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a physical user, which is going to come up and attempt to smack us. And yeah, let's see what they roll to hit us. They're a polearm wielder, so they don't do weak 2 or strong 2 because we are not a part of their cycle. However, let's see, they have 69, so basic lance requires 45 versus our dodge, which is a 12. So they would have to beat a 57 to hit us, which they do, and will sadly deal, let's say, 12 damage versus our defense, dealing 7 to us. So we are kind of a little low. Which it's a little threatening. However, because they are within our range, we do get to roll a counterattack, which is one of the great things about getting involved in attack strings. It's you can end up getting a counterattack, which will also, again, assuming we succeed, we only need a 45, plus let's assume their dodge is about 20 here, and we still hit, and I will say for this instance, we kill. This final user right here is a fire mage. He's a slow unit, however, he is strong against us and is going to move to here because he was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, fire mages have one great effect for us that gives us quite a little bit of an edge here, and that is the fact that they have very low accuracy. In fact, the basic fire spell requires 55 accuracy to hit us, not including dodge. So at least they need to roll a 67, and I've been high rolling pretty much here, so I'm a little bit worried for Jiraiya's health, but in the case that he does end up, going down, we do get to also glance at one of our other effects of combat and death, basically. So he rolls a 32, missing us, which is great for us. Now, because they have the same speed as us, yeah, they have, oh no, I said that they had 5 less speed than us, so that we get to attack twice versus them. So if we miss this attack, we do have a chance to roll again, which we do miss this attack, so there goes one of our things, and now that we have rolled a 68, we do get to attack and kill. Of course, during all of that, after each attack that you landed, you would have gone in and added in each of your, you would have gone in, and that's great. I love doing that. You would have gone in and added each of your points to your ranks. Because we hit only 3 times and killed on each hit, we would improve up to 27 from the battle. Of course, after each attack, you should be coming in here and doing this. And same thing with our EXP. We killed 3 enemies, so our EXP is up to 150 because we ended each attack string that we were in with a dead enemy. So we gained our 50 XP from killing the enemy per each time that we were in a fight. Now, there are a few other actions that we can do while in combat. There are a few other actions that our great friend Jiraiya here can do while he is in combat. And that especially is involved with our inventory. And I will transition us back over. So in our inventory, you will notice that we had plenty of other items that we could have used. Like, for instance, we could have used our haste here to the target that had 15, could have jumped over us, and we would have skipped their turn for the turn that we were in, because their turn order would have already passed and therefore not have gone. We could have also used our Renery Leaf by just doing the use action on any of our turns or in substitute for any of our attacks that we performed. Or we could have just kept attacking like we did. So while it is on your turn, and I'm going to move into the next segment of inventory management, you can use the equip action for free to swap. Beautiful. Gotta love fumbling this. You can use the equip action to swap whichever weapon you have equipped. Renery Leafs, as they are an item that does not deal damage, do not require to be equipped to use, and as such can be used whenever you want. And because we got to some pretty low health, I'm going to say Jirai, as his action on his turn, is going to use the Renery Leaf, healing him for 7 HP because 10 is greater than our maximum HP, healing us all the way up to 9. He is also re-swapping back to haste, and probably going to apply this effect onto himself, assuming that he sees some enemies here soon. Additionally, we can, if for instance, I'm going to give Jirai a friend here. We also have other actions that Jirai can perform, assuming that he has an ally nearby him. And this is going to be his ally, Korea. We can trade with Korea an item, and that allows us to swap any item that is in our inventory or any item that is in her inventory with one of ours, or just put it into a blank slot, or just do whatever we intend to do with it, basically. Additionally, you can also, doing the trade action does not take the attack action, so doing a trade between the two of us allows, say, Korea to pass me an item that, or takes Korea, Korea gets to pass us an item that will allow us to attack any, or attack a target better, say, such as the improved light spell Azlight, and we can then, after trading it, immediately use it on an enemy if they were, say, like here, or just anywhere around us within the range of the weapon, basically. Additionally, in the case that there is an item on the ground, we can walk up to it and use the pickup action, which uses our attack action, to pick it up. Likewise, I have already mentioned the use action can be used instead of an attack action to use the effect of an item at the cost of one weapon or item durability. I also should have mentioned this earlier, but I am a big dum-dum. When we attacked our enemies earlier, we lost durability for each successful hit that we had. So this should have gone down to 37 out of 40, not 40 out of 40, and I forgot to mention it. So whenever your attack hits an enemy, your durability lowers. This is the issue of me not having played the game as a player yet and only being a game master. I don't really worry about some of this stuff as much as I should until much later times. Finally, whenever we have eventually, gained enough stuff, we level up likewise how we leveled our, or became a level 1 character. We take 8 rolls of the D100 here, and then distribute them amongst our rates for each stat. Once we have done our distribution, we level up to the next, or we finish our level up and become a level 2 if we were a level 1, or a level 3 if we were a level 2, or so on and so forth. And yeah, that's basically the only things that you need to worry about when it comes to combat. Eventually, once you have leveled up high enough, you get access to your prestige, which your prestiges, as we saw from yesterday, have 1, 2, and 3 on a basic character, and if you have used the Solvaria Sigil, lets you get up to a 4th prestige tier. Whenever you intend to multi-class, which can be done anytime you level up, you use one of your prestige tiers to do so, and roll a new class on any of the base class trees to become that new class, or whenever you would prestige normally by reaching level 20 and then leveling up again to level up into the higher variant of the class, so from Timekeeper to Master Chronomancer, and expend one of our prestige tiers to become that next level once we are ready for it. But yeah, that's everything you need to know about combat in this game. Thank you all for watching. I've been That Boy, and I'll see y'all next time.